How's it going, everybody? This is Justin here, and I'm back again to talk about Too Many Games, which just happened last weekend over at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Too Many Games was so much fun. I definitely recommend checking this place out, and I gotta say, it is just so beautiful to see all these people from around the country just joined up here to share their passion and love for video games, and it's just beautiful. They're all there talking about the games they love and sharing some of the games and all the experiences that they had with them, and also selling some games too. And I actually picked up a few games, which I'll show off later. But it's just a good time. It's the whole weekend, so you can get there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was there for Saturday, but Saturday was a great day. I got to meet a lot of people and got to experience quite a few things over there. For starters, I got to meet Hardcore Gamer 101, so many people behind that, and those people are great. They're so nice to talk to. I had a lot of fun just standing at their booth, getting to know them and learning about their site. For those of you who don't know their site, they are a site they specialize in writing editorials for various video games, and I guess they kind of do reviews too, but they don't really score the games. They kind of just talk about them and kind of look at them from a really, really objective mindset. It's a very great site if you want to learn about retro video games, or rather games that came out in like the 80s and 90s. I want to say a good portion of my video game knowledge is from that website. So I highly recommend it. I used to go on there all the time. I read several of their features on multiple occasions. They have a great Shin Megami Tensei article. I know they had one on God Hand as well. They had one on Konami shooters, Capcom, Disney games. They're just a great site. Definitely check them out when you get a chance. It's worth bookmarking, Hardcore Gaming 101. I also met James from Shenmue 500K. He's a pretty cool guy. He knows so much about video games. He loves collecting games too. But he is one of the co-admins for Shenmue 500K, and that is a very cool Facebook group. And they, as the name implies, they love Shenmue. And I don't blame them. Shenmue is a pretty cool game. There's a lot of interesting aspects to Shenmue. But yeah, this is a great Facebook group. They're definitely worth joining. I was part of them before, running into James, and they're just a great group. They all the members there, they often share a lot of artwork or any kind of things that they made from the game, or if they had like a screenshot from them playing it, they'll share it on there. It's just a great group to have on Facebook. And Facebook, oftentimes people like to complain that there's all this nonsense on Facebook. It's like, oh, my Facebook's just filled with drama. I hate drama. Why am I on Facebook? Join Shenmue 500K. They have lots of positive things on there and people talking about their positive experiences. So if you want something positive on your Facebook, definitely check out Shenmue 500K. I also got to see Adam Korolik. He has a YouTube channel, and he's pretty cool. He was really, really fun to talk to. Very knowledgeable about video games, which he is in his videos as well, too. It was really fun going around the convention and checking out old video games with him. Pat the NES Punk was there, too. And he has his own channel on YouTube as well. I'm sure many of you know him from the Angry Video Game Nerd videos. A lot of people, that's how they knew Pat. That's how I found out about Pat at first. Which, by the way, James Rolfe was there, even though, unfortunately, I did not get to meet him. He wasn't there when I was, so, oh well, maybe next time. But Pat was really cool. Ian came too. They both had their CU podcast, and CU podcast is great. I love that podcast. I listen to it all the time. I just love how blunt they are and how honest they are about collecting and whatever nonsense is going on in the industry. So those two guys, they're so much fun to talk to, and their podcast is great. So definitely check out CU Podcast, which stands for Completely Unnecessary Podcast, because it is unnecessary, but you'll be glad that they made it. The big surprise for me was meeting Dave from Classic Game Room. Classic Game Room is actually one of my favorite YouTube channels in general. Mark on there is probably my favorite game reviewer, and he really inspired me to get into reviews. And I like to think that my reviews are very much inspired by his style, of reviewing games, because if you watch his reviews, he reviews games in such an open mindset, and he's very forgiving of a game's flaws. He likes to see the good in games. He's not just gonna pick up a game and be like, oh yeah, this game, it sucks. What were they thinking? Blah, blah, blah. No, he actually looks at a game and says, all right, they tried to do this, may not have worked well, or maybe this game isn't for me, but I still appreciate it for what it is, and that's what I really, really admire about Mark. And Dave was also really cool when he was in the older Classic Game Room episodes, like the ones from the late 90s and early 2000s. They had a lot of like Dreamcast videos, since the Dreamcast was hot at that time. So yeah, it was so cool to meet him. He was very, very friendly, incredibly nice to talk to, and yeah, just seeing all these people at this convention was just incredible to me. I never met a lot of these people I haven't met before. I've met James before in the past, but I never met Pat or Adam Korlick or Dave, so it was awesome seeing those guys. They had a lot of indie games too at the event. And one in particular that caught my eye was, I had like the little business card or flyer, Robo Puzzle Smash. Now this is a very, very interesting puzzle game. It's kind of like Puzzle Fighter, but with like robots, and they're done in that blocky style, like in 3D Dot Game Heroes for PS3. It's done in that same style, and it's just a really, really cool game. And they even had a giant arcade machine built up for it. So it really felt like I was back in the 90s playing this old school arcade machine. And I got to play it, and it was just so much fun. And yeah, definitely check it out. And the interesting thing about the fact that they made arcade machines for it is that's actually something that they want to do. If this game becomes popular, they would like to make arcade machines and hopefully have these at barcades. I mean, that would be so cool. Being able to play this game and then have a beer in the other hand, and then you can play against somebody, and then whoever loses has to buy the next round for everybody. There you go. That's like a whole new generation of bar trash talking right there. Oh, I cannot wait. I hope this happens. Yes. But I mentioned that they had a lot of games for sale, and I picked up a few games. I'll show a couple of these off. And the prices were surprisingly reasonable. I saw Earthbound there for $175, which isn't entirely unreasonable. Yes, it's $175. Yes, that's very true. It's not cheap. But considering that I've seen that upwards of $250, that's not bad. Other games were, hit or miss with the prices, but the games I got were actually pretty cheap. I think the most expensive game I got was actually, I almost spoiled it. Slip of the tongue right there. The most expensive game I got was actually Kid Icarus for the NES. But even this wasn't that much. What's interesting about this one is that this is the 5-screw variant. So a lot of the initial run NES games, it also has a flat thing. A lot of the initial run NES games were 5-print apparently, or 5 pins, or 5 screws, whatever you want to call it. Compared to, say, something like Metroid, which was released later. I didn't buy this at the convention. This is actually my copy that I had already. But this only has 3, for example. But yeah, I got Kid Icarus. I've always wanted a copy of it. And after playing Kid Icarus Uprising, I've been in such a Kid Icarus mood. Uprising's a fantastic game on the DS. I also found Jackal. I bought this at the Hardcore Gaming booth. Jackal is a fantastic NES game. Great co-op. You play as like these 2 Jeeps, and you just run around and just shoot a bunch of people, or just run them over. It's just classic Konami action at its best. What's weird is, I had a hard time finding this, not because it was a rare game. There actually was a lot of copies of it there, but they were all in terrible condition. This was the first one that was actually in good condition, for like around the same price as everybody else had it. And I remember finding this at like the Hardcore Gaming booth, and I even thanked them. I was like, thank you guys for having the one Jackal that's not in terrible condition. Okay, what else did I get? I got Gogol 13, Top Secret Episode. This is a interesting NES game, to say the least. It's just like Guardian Legend. There's various different game genres kind of thrown in here. So it's a side-scroller, then also a first-person shooter. And I think there's also like a first-person maze mode in here too. But yeah, Golgo 13 is an interesting game, and I believe, I think it's this one. I don't think it's a sequel. I believe this is known for being one of the earliest, for having one of the earliest examples of a sex scene in a video game. So I know a lot of people like to pick this game up for that, but I thought it was pretty cool. And also, Golgo 13 is just awesome. It's a cool anime. And the last NES game I picked up was The Little Mermaid by Disney and Capcom, and this is an adorable game. I know it sounds weird. It's like, why are you buying a Little Mermaid game? Why? But no, it's by Capcom. It's got great music. The game plays fantastically, and it's really cute, short and sweet. The pixel art's surprisingly great. I was really blown away by the animation and some of the artwork in the game. It's really, really good. It's nowhere near as bad as you think it was. I guess this was in an era where, you know, movie-based games weren't always really bad. You did have some good ones, and yeah, this is one of them. Little Mermaid. It's really cheap. Like, I think I paid like $5 for this. It's really, really cheap. Like, you can definitely get it for under $10. Of most of these games here were under 10. The only one I wasn't was Kid Icarus, but all these games were under $10. And the last one I got was Tengen Miss Pac-Man for the Genesis. And I wanted the Tengen version because on the NES, this is also available on NES, this version, but the NES has two versions of Miss Pac-Man. One of them by Namco, I think, and the other one by Tengen. Tengen is the one you want to get, because the one by Namco isn't as good. The scrolling isn't as smooth, but the Tengen one has two players simultaneous co-op / competitive play if you want to just be a jerk to each other. Yeah, think about that. An old school NES Pac-Man game that's two players simultaneous. That's insane. And the Genesis version is more or less the same, but, you know, with blast processing, so it's even better. Yeah, so definitely check out Miss Pac-Man. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. Get that version. Get either the Genesis version or the NES version. You can't go wrong with either of them. They're both fantastic. So yeah, other things that happened at the convention. There was one event that I went to, which was the Cosplay Pro Wrestling. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like WWE, but with people in cosplay. So you'll see Mario and Luigi, you know, throwing each other all over the place on the ring, and it was absolutely ridiculous, but boy, was it a great time. The audience was going absolutely wild. Oh my goodness. I'm still laughing at some of the stuff that people were saying and all the chants there. And there was a few other panels there, like, I know Ian had a shoot 'em up panel. I didn't get to go to that, unfortunately. There was an arcade there with all these games set up, and you know, those were always fun to go to. But what I noticed about this convention in particular was it didn't feel too packed with people. Everything was moving at a good pace. It's not like at some other conventions, like I've gone to Anime Next, and it's just a giant mess. Like, everybody's all over the place, and it's just so out of order. This one felt a lot better. People were moving at a good pace. Sometimes some of the vendors didn't really have a lot of space, so, you know, you kind of have to squeeze past people to get to some of the games. But overall, I really liked how it was, and I felt like there wasn't too much trouble getting around the convention, since when these conventions get packed, they get packed, and it's just like impossible to get anywhere. And thankfully, they opened some like doors, so there was like fresh air coming in. So, you know, it's not like we're all suffocating in there, which is also something that tends to happen at conventions too. So thankfully, that wasn't the case. So yeah, what else can I say about the convention? The vendors had a great selection of games. I mean, the games I picked up, those are some of the more common games, but they did have a lot of uncommon stuff. Like, I did see Bomberman 64, The Second Attack there. I did see Mega Man Legends 2. I've seen Brigandine for PS1, which is a pretty obscure and rare game. They had a few people selling repros there, like Battle Mania and Mega Man of Wily Wars. So yeah, all that was there. There weren't too many cosplayers walking around. I saw a couple. but nothing too crazy. It's not like Anime Next or, you know, the upcoming Kineticon, which is probably going to have a lot more cosplayers, or even PAX East or MacFest had a lot more cosplayers than Too Many Games. But yeah, bottom line, Too Many Games is a lot of fun. So much fun. I'm probably going to write an impression piece on that indie game I was mentioning, the Robo Puzzle, what was it called? Robo Puzzle Smash. I'm probably going to write a piece on that since I just thought that was so cool. But yeah, Too Many Games, great convention. It's definitely worth going to. They did not have many mystery boxes, which is why I'm not doing a mystery box unboxing video for this. However, I'm going to be at Kineticon. I think that's next week, actually. I'm going to be at Kineticon, and I will look for a mystery box there, and I will record myself opening that mystery box, since last time I did it, it was pretty funny and really random. So, you know, you can look forward to that. My review of Zero Time Dilemma should be coming out really soon, if it isn't out already. So definitely check that out, too. And yeah, otherwise, that's all I have to say about Too Many Games. If you're interested, check it out. Go there next year.